After talking to Sharon and Tiffany, Mordecai was on his way to his locker. As he passed an empty classroom, he was grabbed by two men and dragged inside. He struggled to break free but couldn't. He then heard a familiar voice say, "Let him go, boys. No force is needed. We just need to chat." "Dr. von Braun?" he said in surprise, as he recognized the voice of the geneticist before facing him. "What are you doing here? What business do you have here?" Dr. von Braun stared at the young man. "I've been invited today to be a guest speaker at the request of the principal," he answered. "I will speak to the students of the last two periods in science, specifically in genetics. I will have some of them, I'm sure, as future students in my class should they attend UCF." "Then what do you want with me, as if I didn't know?" "Oh, you know all right," replied Dr. von Braun. "We both know but that matter I do not discuss in the classroom. Not officially, of course." He then stared hard at him. "Have you had any unusual dreams?" he then asked. "What do you mean?" frowned Mordecai. "Any strange dreams, any recurrent dreams?" repeated the geneticist. Mordecai did not answer. "Tell me," the geneticist insisted. Mordecai sighed. "I'm waiting," Dr. von Braun continued impatiently. After a pause, Mordecai spoke. "I did have a recurrent dream of a dragon, a black dragon," he said. "But what does that have to do with anything?" "Oh, it could mean more than you know," replied Dr. von Braun. "What can you tell me about this dragon?" Against his will, Mordecai spoke. "I was in a valley, barren, lifeless. I was walking through the valley and then came upon this dragon." "What did he look like?" asked Dr. von Braun. "Must have been over 30 meters tall, jet black in appearance," answered Mordecai. "He had a wingspan almost as long as his body, almost bat-like wings. He seemed to know me, but not my name. He kept asking me my name, but I refused to tell him." "Did he reveal his name to you in the dream?" asked Dr. von Braun. "No," Mordecai answered. "He never did. I never found out his name. It's strange because it's the same dream I've had the past 4 nights, and it bothers me." "Interesting," nodded the geneticist. "Why do you ask about the dream?" asked Mordecai. "Oh, no particular reason." "Come on, Dr. von Braun," frowned the young man. "There must be a logical reason for asking me such a question." "My reasons are my own, and that's all you will know," the geneticist answered cryptically. "I thought you were going to ask me about fairies," Mordecai frowned. "Now you ask me about what unusual dream I've had." Dr. von Braun slid a vanilla envelope toward the young man. Mordecai instinctively took the envelope and stared at it. "Open it," the geneticist said. Mordecai opened the envelope and pulled out the picture. He stared at it closely. "Remains?" he exclaimed. "What is this?" "These are remains of a fairy that had died perhaps a year ago," answered Dr. von Braun. "It looked like it was a female, perhaps in her 30s. Cause of death unknown. No broken bones, though. You can tell the shape of the wings on the back." "Why show me this?" Mordecai asked. "Who took them?" "I have my sources," replied the geneticist. "I will not tell you. Rest assured those are remains of a real fairy. That is not satisfactory evidence to make their existence public. More proof is needed. I have studied the DNA and found it strangely similar to our own. How they got wings, how they came to be, is still a mystery. A mystery I intend to solve." Mordecai shook his head. "I still don't know why it has anything to do with me," he frowned. "I feel there's a connection between you and the existence of fairies," the geneticist proclaimed. The recurrent dreams of the dragon has convinced me of that. How? Asked Mordecai skeptically. My reasons are my own, insisted the geneticist. Perhaps you have not yet encountered a fairy, but you will. When you do, I'm planning to offer you $6 million for proof of their existence. Why would you do this? Mordecai asked. I have only partial proof, though I feel not empiric enough on the existence of fairies, said Dr. Von Braun. I need to find one, capture one if necessary, prove their existence. What would you do with the fairy if you had captured one? Study it, answered the geneticist. See how similar they are to humans. I wonder how they evolved wings and have the ability to fly. I still find it hard to believe that they do exist, Mordecai said. Thing is, I don't believe in evolution. I believe we were created, all of us, in the image of God. Then how do you explain the wings? Dr. Von Braun asked. I have no explanation, answered Mordecai, but I still doubt their existence. Talk about believing in fairy tales, scoffed Dr. Von Braun. What about the myth that God would choose to come down in the form of man and die and then rise again in 3 days? I am not good at debating, Mordecai replied, but the wickedness of man has caused us separation from God. Yes, I've heard it all before, interrupted Dr. Von Braun. But I cannot believe that God would send his only son to shed his blood for all sins and to save our souls from hell. And this is coming from a man who believes in fairies? Retorted Mordecai. Dr. Von Braun picked up the pictures that Mordecai had laid down and slammed it upon the desk again. This is proof, boy, he shot back. I have seen a fairy for myself. I know they exist. The remains of a fairy proves they exist, and I will find one. Rest assured. He then walked over to the youth. Just think of it, he told him. If you find one, you would no longer be a nobody. You will be famous as well as rich. Find a fairy, and I will personally give you $6 million, cash. Mordecai did not respond immediately. He thought about the money, though. Thought about the fact that he had no job, nobody special in his life. As he thought, he then felt a wrongness about all this. Why would he think I still know anything about fairies? Could they truly exist? What do my dreams about a black dragon have to do with the existence of fairies? And why does Von Braun think it does? What is his true purpose toward fairies? He shook his head. I still can't bring myself to believe fairies exist, he said softly. And this is coming from someone who believes in a God who would die for him to save him from hell? Scoffed Dr. Von Braun. Sooner or later you will encounter a fairy, and you will let me know once that happens. The world must know of their existence. He pulled out a card and placed it in his front pocket. In case you lost my number the first time, I expect you to contact me once you meet a fairy. He motioned to his men. Come, Seymour, Wilfred, he told them. I must speak to Mr. Richards before classes start. Go over some things with him. He grabbed the photo and placed them back in the envelope and headed out the door, followed by Seymour and Wilfred.